It's December 2022 and I'm renewing the lawn. Now my lawn has been starving. It needed a feed for over 2 years. Do you feed your lawn? Good, because you can't. Feeding of the lawn comes from the sun. They actually take in sunlight, make sugars from it, and that's what they live on. It's not fertiliser that's the issue, it's sunlight. This is a shady area. This is a soft-leaf buffalo. It's actually Swaile, and it wasn't doing well at all because it's growing in the shade and it had just enough sun to grow reasonably well. But for 2 years, the sun never came out. The sun went away. We just had clouds and rain, and so the lawn has been starving. So I'm just repairing it. Now there also was a huge root growing across here from the scribbly gum, and I didn't want to do anything that would worry the scribbly gum, so I've changed the levels. I've got some rolls of turf. You ever stop to think, whoever invented rolls of turf was a genius beyond belief. You can go and buy a roll of it, roll it out like carpet, and you've got an instant lawn. Every time I do it, I think, this is amazing stuff. Now, I got a number of rolls. You might think there's a gap between them. There's not. What I do when I lay the rolls of turf, I make up my own sort of sandy soil mix. So I got about 50% good soil with poultry manure off the bottom of the poultry cage down the back. And then mix that with sand, and then I put that where they mesh together, because they dry out along those joint bits and you could lose them. So I've put it in, I've watered them very gently. All the grasses here, this zone here actually has the lawn under it growing reasonably well. It's just the levels were wrong. But now is the time to do it. If your lawn's looking dreadful, it's because it was starving for sunlight, particularly in shady areas. Now is the time, and again, particularly with the buffalo lawns, any of the soft buffaloes, now is the time to fix them. Here's the trap. You might say, I'll get this growing, I'll use some fertiliser. And again, you'd be wrong. When you lay the turf, the best thing is not to fertilise it, because then it will just put the new roots down and establish, ready to grow. That's when you fertilise it. If you fertilise it as soon as you lay it down on the ground, it'll go to leafy growth, but it's got no roots to provide the nutrients, the water and all the rest of it. So lay your grass, put some sandy soil mix around it to fix it all up, maybe level it a bit, and then just water it twice a day for about 3 weeks. Be religious about it. This is a standard hose nozzle. I would not normally use this anywhere near the garden, but for a fine spray when you lay turf, it's excellent. Normally you'd want a water breaker, the soft ones that put out gentler water, but for a newly laid turf lawn, this is actually very good. It just wets it enough that it's not being stressed while it establishes new roots. After about 4 weeks maybe, earlier if it starts to really come away, once it's growing, a little bit of fertiliser, maybe a liquid fertiliser, sea salt's good, and you will have a beautiful lawn, and you'll be able to, you know, as the neighbours walk by say, Bill, look at this. Not bad, is it? Not interested. Okay. If you're wondering about the levels and contours on this bit of grass here, it's actually a swale, S-W-A-L-E. A swale is sort of an open drain. It may be that much lower in the middle, so that's about 120 millimetres, 12 centimetres, and comes up a little bit at the edge. It's an open drain that, well, directs the water around your garden to the areas that need watering and so on. It's a wonderful idea. And the problem was, when this lump came from the root of the tree here, I had to sort of work it out so that the water still runs down the middle here and off to other areas of the garden. Swale's the way to go. You're wasting probably 85% of your rainfall that you get on your block of land, because it goes out onto the roof, out into the pipes, out into the street, driveway, out into the street and gone. Bad for the local river system, creeks and all that. It's really bad for them. All the weeds take over and you lose most of your water. You can put in a water tank at the back of the house if you like, but they're useless. They fill up and then the water still runs through and out into the street and all the rest of it. It really doesn't make much sense. And if you get a drought, one of those water tanks out the back of the house, about 2 weeks.